Good evening, everyone. Buenas noches from Mexico City. Tonight, we are talking to one of my favorite guests ever, the one, the
Oh,
only, Miss Libria Jones. If you've been around, if you've been a part of the Picky Girl Nation for a minute, you remember the last time she was here and what a fabulous conversation that was. Um, so tonight we're going to talk a little bit about money and feelings and habits and all of that good stuff. But just on the off chance that you're here and you're new, let me introduce myself. My name, oh, I just realized I don't have the name things on. Let me turn that on and see if I can do two things at one time. Um, so yes, let me introduce myself. My name is Adelia Abor Sade. This is my channel. I am the picky girl. I really low key blew up my life about 10 years ago, right before I turned 40, because I will be turning 50 in 2 months. Uh, and I left the US 8.5 years ago, and I really have set about to live life on my terms. And that's what I started this YouTube channel for, was to help other women do that. So if you're new here, the videos on this channel are about money. I work as a financial confidence coach now. I like to help women master their money so they can live the life that they want. We talk about travel, we talk about living abroad, and we talk about like how to get the life that you want. So if you're new, welcome. You are here on a good night.
oh, no pressure. No pressure.
No pressure, but if there's anybody I know that handles pressure well, it is you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm happy to be here. Excited. Libria without the braids. Yeah, like for once. Now, this is not New Life Curator. If you have been hanging out on my channel hearing me say that I'm about to switch it all up, this ain't the look, but I am switching it up in 2025. We switching it up. I shall not wear not now braid in 2025.
And see, I'm hoping to go that way. Was just sending somebody a picture of Fulani braids, and I was like, "Do I have
Ooh.
enough hair to do this right now?" Because I'm not ready to deal with this hair myself.
Yeah, no, I realized that my all my pictures for like the last 2 years have been of me in braids. I'm tired of it. It's time for a switch up, a change,
That's
something
fair.
unexpected for me, something new, something we haven't seen before. And we've seen this before. I've done big curly hair before. I've done it. So it's time for something different.
Now, the last time you were here, which I think was like 2 years ago,
Was it that?
maybe
Are you
three,
kidding me? We haven't done this in 2 years. That doesn't sound right. Is that
it,
right?
it's been a minute.
Why you don't
But
want me? Why you don't want
you
me?
are no, that's not the case. You are a very busy person, or at least you have been the
Yeah,
last couple of years.
yeah, yeah. We're working on that in 05 and 2025. I need to chill. I gotta chill.
Yes. Well, yes, you gotta make time to chill, or your body will make time for you.
What's funny
For
is
real
I
though.
think I do. I know this is not what the topic is about today, but I feel like I do. Right? Like I have no problem with like doing nothing all day. I have no problem with being like, oh, I'm about to kick it with my girls or I'm going on vacation.
As somebody who is observing from the outside,
Hmm.
yes, you do that. And then you go 150 miles an
I was
hour.
about to say you ain't let me finish. That's the thing. And then when I decide I'm working, it's like, who said you had to work this much though? Like, why? But this is a whole different thing. If you're on my email list, and I think that's probably where New Life Curator mentioned me without the braids came from because I put that in my newsletter Sunday. I sent a note out to the productivity addicts last week because I get a lot of self-worth from productivity. Like I feel a lot of worthiness from creating things and putting things out and checking boxes. And that's a whole therapy session right there.
And
But
say we could have a whole conversation about that because I
Mhm.
am on your email list and I saw that newsletter and you were talking about like that you were burnt out and I was like, hell yeah, you are. You've been doing too much. But that is not what we're here to talk about tonight.
No, not
But
today.
if you want to talk about that, we can. Because I very much be embracing doing as little as possible. I'm not trying to be, I'm not trying to do anything.
I need to get there. I need to get
And
there.
so that's probably the other extreme from the life that you've been living. Um,
You be looking at me like, girl,
but
you making me tired.
girl, you do make me tired sometimes. Um, but speaking of your newsletter, that is one of I had already been wanting to talk to you because I think you were on Rashida's channel a little while ago,
Mhm.
and you made a comment, and I wrote that down. Now, where is that piece of paper?
I can tell
Who
you what it
knows?
was. I can tell you what it was. You want me to tell you what it was?
But yeah,
Okay, so this is what Adelia talking about, y'all. This is what she done held on to. Me and Rashida were talking about, um, people saving up to move abroad and to take career breaks and things like that. And what I said was, I've never seen myself as a saver, as a person that can save a large amount of money to do something like that. And so my strategy has been to create income streams that support that kind of lifestyle. So I was like there, I feel like, you could approach this from a couple ways. You could save up, or you could be like, let me create cash flows.
let
And
me
so
make more money.
that has always been my focus because I'm like, your girl be having problems keeping money in one place, My
And
friend,
that
my IRA is great because I can't touch it.
Well, that just struck me because I think I'm the opposite of that. And
Mhm.
I find it incredibly fascinating that the confidence that you have, and it's absolutely not misplaced at all, that like, oh, I want that thing, I can just make more money. And those are thoughts that have never crossed my mind. Um, and it might be spending almost 20 years as a public school teacher because that is not a job where you make any more money other than like taking on additional responsibilities. Like what you make is what you make, and there's not really anything you can do about it. I don't know if it's that or if it's something in me, but I'm always like, oh, where can I cut? I can save that. So that struck me because I was like, wow, there are people out there who are just like, oh yeah, I could just make more money. And I'm just like, I'm blown away by that. I think it's awesome. But yeah, also have some thoughts about the inability to save.
Yeah. I it's so funny because I think about cutting often. I sit here and sometimes I like go through my expenses. I do this like once a quarter. I go through my expenses, like the things that are coming out of my account. And I'm like, ooh, we need to cancel that, right? So like I can cut back. That just means I have more different money to spend. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I'm not spending it on this anymore. So I'm gonna spend it over here. I have the best intentions when it comes to savings. I really do. And I will say that I have been very proud of the fact that I've saved up money and then something happens. So recently I mentioned that I had to drain my savings account to pay for something. I'm actually really proud that I even had it to do
Well,
that.
okay, let's talk about that because a lot of people be feeling a kind of way like they have saved up money to go abroad. They've saved up money to take a sabbatical. They
Mhm.
saved up money for an emergency, and then they have to use the money literally for the reason they saved it up. And they feel a kind of way about that. But like, that's what the money is for.
Yeah, that's what it's for. I mean,
And
I think that I understand that, right? Because you called it an emergency fund, but that's not what it was for you. So like I don't know if you remember this, but last year before last, I changed the name of my emergency fund to sabbatical fund because I didn't like the idea of I'm saving up for an emergency. Because usually the emergency is if you lose your job, right? And I was like, well, I don't want that to be an emergency. I want that to be, I get to take my time until I decide to work again, if I decide to work again. So I changed the name of it. And then I had a rainy day fund too, right? So the emergency fund was supposed to be longer term, and the rainy day fund was supposed to be like short term things, like I need new tires. And I was like, I don't like calling it a rainy day fund. What if an opportunity comes up and I want to be able to take advantage of it? So like this launch program I just did, that was an opportunity. It cost a decent amount of money. And so I was like, I'm going to call this the Stay Ready Fund. And so I think the challenge there is that this person, these people, when people are doing that, it's because they have this emergency fund. That ain't what it's for. This fund was for me to leave, or this fund was for something else. And then they had to divert the money. So, I mean, I get the sentiment, but I also just feel like we do ourselves a disservice when we don't appreciate the fact that our past self took care of our today self.
That part. I have been trying because, like, you had this thing come up and you had the money there. So that was something that didn't need to go on credit cards,
Mm-hmm.
didn't need to take out a loan. I have been trying to teach my daughter, who is a homeowner, that, like, you should be saving money to the side so that when this thing comes up, even if it's just a couple of $100 and the thing that comes up is thousands of dollars, that's still a couple of $100 that you did not have to go and borrow. And
Right.
that there's a victory there.
It is.
Um, when you talk about your opportunity fund, I always talk about my FU money, uh, my oh shit money.
Mm.
When the shit hits the fan, and I have a hell yeah fund, so that when I get the text or the call and they're like, hey, we're going to South Africa next week, I don't have to think about how am I going to pay for this. I can immediately say, hell yeah, I'm in. So no, you're right. Thinking about how you're allocating money, whether that's savings or what have you, and about how you live your life and who you are. Because there's one thing that's very true about finances is it's not a one size fits all sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. It's behavioral for sure. And I love that the whole personal finance space is moving more towards that. There used to be just this very regimented approach to personal finance, and they didn't take into account like people's behaviors, people's beliefs, and people's actual feelings about money, like how you feel when you get money or spend money. I think I said this the last time, but it's been a very long time, so I think it bears repeating. There was a point where I remember telling one of my friends that I act like if I don't spend all the money in my account, ain't no new money coming in. Like I have to get my account down to zero before payday comes. Like that's how I act. What is that about? She's not like that anymore, guys. But that was a long time ago. And I was like, but that goes back to like everybody thinks about and feels about money differently. And I think it's a good thing that I do believe money is always coming. I think it's a good thing, but it's also challenging as well, because the fact that I think money is always coming means that I don't respect it enough to hold on to it, right? Because I'm like, oh, there's more coming. Trust me, there's more coming.
I don't know if I agree with that, but I do find it interesting, the belief that you have that money is coming. You don't have that same confidence in your ability to save.
Yeah, exactly. I don't. I have so much. I do have a very, very high level of confidence in in my ability to make money. I do. Now, I will say money does show up. Like I remember one day earlier, was it earlier this year? It was not this year. This year just started, so it could not have been earlier this year, unless it was 12 days ago, 13 days ago. Somewhere last year, something came up, and I was like, "Shh, am I allowed to curse here? Are you guys okay?"
Yes.
I was like, "Shit, how am I gonna pay for this?" And it was a significant amount of money. And I was like, I really don't want to take money out of my savings. I have no idea how I'm going to pay for this. I kid you not. I went to my parents' house to get my mail. My mail goes to my parents' house. And there was a check from my mortgage company for $4,000. And it was more than I needed to cover the thing. And so stuff like that happens often enough that I am slightly delusional about the fact that money just be showing up. Just today, I kid you not, just today, I got an email saying that a doctor's office credited my credit card $200, and I have no idea why. Okay, thanks.
Well, they say we all got to be a little bit delusional.
The Lulu
You
is
know?
the Lulu. But I think that makes me less disciplined. In the same way I felt that like back when I was in my 20s and I was slim and muscular for no reason, I could go to the gym for a week and a half and look like I've been running a track all my life, has made it very challenging for me now with this 45-year-old body to be as disciplined. 46-year-old metabolism.
Well, I don't know that that's discipline, because from what I've read, the perimenopause is going to do what it's going to do.
It's been
Yeah.
doing. It's been doing. You hear me? But I was just drawing a parallel. It like the fact that some things have been, I do not want to say easy because my financial life has not been easy. I'm not going to paint that picture at all. But I do feel like that kind of thing makes me slightly undisciplined. And I also will say, Adelia, I feel like I also think that there's a part of me that still sees me as my older self. Because I shared with you guys some very candid mistakes that I made financially that were really stupid. And I didn't even get to all of them. We were supposed to do a part 2. And sometimes I forget that I'm not her anymore. I am so much farther away from that. I'm so far away from that girl. Still have, some ways to go. But I realized while I was telling you this, that sometimes I still talk about myself like I'm her. Like I'm still that girl.
Well, we've talked about this a little bit, but just to drive home, like you can't talk about money. You can't think about money without thinking about the psychology of it. If you've not read The Psychology of Money, absolutely, anybody watching this, if you've not read that book, you need to, because money is not just about the money. Absolutely, it is not. A lot of the ways that we interact with it, how we feel about it, how we think about it, our behaviors, they're all tied to psychology. Now, in your newsletter, you mentioned that you've kind of felt like, looking back on 2024, you were spending in a way that was not aligned with your financial goals.
It was
So I
not.
want to talk about that a little bit.
That is an accurate statement.
What are your financial goals?
Can I say something first? Since you mentioned Psychology of Money, seriously, I just need to reiterate, it's such a good book. Here's the thing though, it has some really good life lessons. Like he's talking about money, but these are life lessons. The one that he talked about trying to eradicate discomfort, when he talked about running fevers and how we're supposed to run fevers. Our bodies are working the way they're supposed to. I was like, life lessons. So some life lessons in that book. Financial goals. So my biggest financial goal last year was to get out of debt. That was like the number one financial goal last year. And then start investing. So originally I wanted to save 6 months of living expenses, which my living expenses are pretty low. Like it's not, I don't pay for housing, my house is being rented out and I'm just kind of floating about the world. So at first it was, save 6 months of living expenses and then pay off debt. And I was like, well, the cost of my debt is so high that I would like to move that up and prioritize that. Like I'll still put some money in savings, but I think the priority has to be paying down debt. So that was the financial goal. If I just had to say there was one, and then secondary to that was saving. So, pretty standard. I have some very, more detailed long-term financial goals, but that was for 2024, that was kind of it.
And you're saying that your behavior in 2024 was not
Aligned.
aligned with that.
Sometimes what you say and what you do just ain't the same. Now, I will say, I did pay off some debt. Like, it's not like I just didn't do anything. I definitely paid down some debt. What's going to make you mad at me, though, is that in some cases, it's with credit cards are involved. I paid them off and then went back to using them. And like one credit card, I paid it all the way off. And my intentions were, I'm just gonna put like my gym bill on here, right? I'm just gonna put that on here, leave it alone, pay that off, yada yada yada. Girl, on today on this date, on January 14th, that credit card is almost maxed out again.
What had happened?
What happened? I think I put this in the newsletter too, that I'm just going to stop using credit cards this year.
Because that was going to be my question was, okay, I get putting a low reoccurring bill on a card. That way it keeps it active, keeps your credit score up. But then my next question was going to be, okay, the card was paid off. Do you still carry it in your wallet?
Mm-hmm.
Is it still saved in the various websites that you shop on?
Well, I mean, not anymore, because as of the beginning of the year, that was one of my systems that I put in place at the beginning of the year. So, like from a habit perspective, systems and habits perspective, there are some things that you do to remove friction from a process to make it easier to do that thing. So, for instance, if you say you're going to go to the gym in the mornings, setting your gym clothes out at night removes friction. In some cases, you got to add friction.
Absolutely.
And so I was like, how do I add friction to this? How do I make it harder to use my credit card? I can't remember who wrote this in a book, but he was like, make something 20 seconds harder, just 20 seconds harder, right? And so I removed my credit cards from Google Pay and from Apple Pay as well. And from my wallet, because girl.
Well, that's the thing, because we're in the midst of a no spend challenge, and I did a video last week before. I can't remember because what is time? And that was one of the suggestions for like how to prepare is you need to make it more difficult to fall back into those habits. Well, one, from a security standpoint, you should not be saving your credit card information on various vendor websites.
I remember you saying that. I watched a video. I watched one of your lives, and I remember you saying that.
And, I do that. And it also irritates my roommate because we will be going someplace and I will miscalculate how much cash I have, but also I didn't bring the credit card. So I'll be like, oh yeah, I know I said this, but can you spot me? Because I've got 50 pesos and thought the credit card was in the bag, but it's not. But the other thing, like you said, I have found, because when I use credit cards, and I will own this, my sense of how much things are goes out of the window. I'm very good about saying this is all I'm going to spend. But once there's a credit card involved, I forget how to do the little math I can do. And so I have taken to spending cash, because one, you feel it more when you're having to pull those bills out of your pocket. And two, there is no surprise credit card bill that shows up at the end of the month that's double or triple what you were expecting it to be.
Listen, I'm here for that. I'm trying to find the messages that I sent to my friends. So I have the same best friends I've had since I was 8 years old, and I'm 46. So these women know me. And I think what is important and what I do like about myself is that I'm at least honest with myself. I'm very honest with myself about myself. Listen, girl, what are you doing? So the other thing that I did that was helpful for this is, to your point about not realizing how much you're spending, I had my loans listed somewhere else, somewhere. I had my credit cards listed somewhere. And then I have some loans for my business that are on my credit report. And I have a business credit card and two business loans that are on my credit report. When I took them out, I didn't realize they were going to be on my credit report. Of course, I knew they were using my social security number, but not every business loan shows up on your credit report, and not every business credit card does as well. So I was like, you know what? Last day of the year, I was like, let me consolidate all this. Because I feel like in my head, I know how in debt I am, but I don't really feel like I have a whole grip on it.
Not until you see it all in one place. I did the workshop that I did for the Exodus Summit All Access Pass holders.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the things that I gave them, was a template, kind of like a financial dashboard.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Put it
like, we're focused on how do I afford to move abroad, but you got to have the big picture of what
Yes.
your finances are doing before that. And no, it is very powerful to see that all in one place.
And I'm a finance, but like I majored in finance. Like I used to build spreadsheets and models, financial models for a living for Deloitte, for a major accounting firm. And I don't know why it never occurred to me to just put it all together. Because in my mind, I was like, I know I have quite a bit of credit card debt, but I don't think overall I'm in a lot of debt. And then I saw the number together all at one, and I was like, girl, what the entire hell did you do? What have you done? And I text my friends and told them the number. I ain't gonna tell y'all, I'm gonna reveal it, and maybe I will. We'll see. But I was like, my friend was like, girl, why do you have so many credit cards? Because I sent them the spreadsheet. I was like, look at this. Look at this. And my friend was like, girl, why do you have so many credit cards? I said, precisely why. I said they were supposed to be used for different purposes. And then I used them for any purposes because I can't be trusted.
Now, I'm going to ask this.
And I said, and I was
one, because I'm curious and I'm nosy, but also there are other reasons, but are any of those cards that have the debt on them, are those like points cards?
All of them are. Every last one of them is, I get some points for something. So 2 of them are cashback cards. I have 5 credit cards. 2 of them, nope, that's not true. I now have 6. One of them is a balance transfer card. So I transferred the balance on a high credit card to a 0% card so that I can pay it off and then close it. 2 of them are cashback cards. So like 2% cashback or 2 times. One of them is they do it via points, but I always take the cashback. And then 2 of them are Delta cards, Delta American Express cards. And then another one is just a random American Express card. It's a points card. I can use the points for whatever I want.
And not now, because you're not using those cards, but before, did you ever find yourself falling into that, oh, I'll just put it on the card because I can get the points?
I mean, yes, of course. I also will put it on the card because I was like, oh yeah, I'll pay it later. I don't have the cash right now. I'll pay it later. And then here's what happens. I'm gonna be so honest with y'all about my lack of discipline in some cases. In some cases, it's like when it comes time to pay it all down. Now, I never pay the minimum balance. I've never paid the minimum balance on my credit card. I definitely pay more than the minimum balance due. But when it comes down to pay it all down, I'm like, but I could do something else with this money. Let me pay some of it down. Oh, but wait, I could buy this plane ticket, or I could go to this event, or I could go to this wonderful dinner. I love a dinner. Oh my God, I love a dinner. And it's funny
Okay.
because I'm not a person that spends a lot of money on things. Like I own one designer purse and I put designer, and let me not do them like that. Let me not do them like that. Pretend I didn't do that. Let me not be shady. Plus, maybe they'll sponsor me one day. I have one designer purse and it's from Coach. And I got it half off because one of my friends works there. So, like, I'm not a person, I have no designer shoes. I don't have a whole lot of designer clothes. Actually, I have no designer clothes. I have one, like, Kohan leather jacket that I bought in 2015. But experiences, places, things, a nice dinner.
Okay. Now, I know you know this.
I
I
know it.
know you know
You
this,
know I know it.
that the cost of the interest
Uh-huh, uh-huh,
is
uh-huh.
outweighing whatever benefit you're getting from the card.
I majored in finance.
That's why I know you know this.
I know. I know it very well.
Okay. And there was
But
something
we're
you
talking
said.
about like what we know and how we behave.
True,
Right, right, right.
true. And that is where the dichotomy exists.
Right, right. Like we know eating a bunch of cheese is gonna do what to your waistline. But cheese is delicious.
You mean like how I ate cookies and cakes for 3 weeks and then got on a scale and found out I weigh as much as I did when I gained 60 pounds with my first pregnancy? Yeah.
That's
I
what we talking about. This is all we talking about. Somebody said playing the points game can be dangerous. I'm gonna tell you something. I signed up to play the points game and I played myself. That's what I did. I played Libria. I played myself trying to play the points game. And I did go into it with the very best intentions and I behaved well early on. And then somehow last year, somehow I think no, maybe the last 2 years, I lost my mind. I lost my mind. I played myself.
The official stance on this channel has been not to play the points game. It was just what, maybe a month ago, I had to raw on here because I knew that I was going to be spending a significant amount of money. So I was like, this is a one-time thing. Because for the most part, I don't play the game because living outside the country, I don't get the multiple rewards in the same way. I don't spend enough money, but I
Mhm.
knew I was going to have some big purchases coming up, and I was like, well, let me see what I can get out of here. But and once that's done, I'm done. But then the other thing you said that we need to talk about, you said I'm at the place and I put it on the card because I was like, I don't have the money right now. Now, in that moment, are you cognizant of the fact that you are taking out a loan
Mhm.
to buy that thing, that
Of course
experience?
I am. Of course I am. I'm borrowing from Future Libria. Future Libria gets paid in 7 days. She'll let me hold it.
But you don't pay it in 7 days.
And then Future Libria be like, girl, why are you spending my money? I'm about to spend it on something else.
This is this is some girl math.
These two girls be like, oh, what? I thought you was gonna do it. No, I thought, and she'd be like, who said that? Who said that? Who said that? It's a mess. These two young ladies, past Libria and Future Libria, they get together and like, no, baby, I didn't ask you to do that. Why did you do that?
Well, that's something, I mean, if you find yourself falling off the wagon,
Mm-hmm.
that is something that I want you to think about, that if you have to put it on the card, what you're saying is, I have to take out a loan for
Mm-hmm.
this dinner.
And it's not even a cheap loan. It's a loan.
It's an expensive
It's
ass
an
loan.
expensive ass loan. Like so when I look at once I put all the numbers together, because I the chart that I made included the principal balance and or credit limit, depending on if it was a card or a loan, current balance, interest rate, and estimated interest payments per month. I could drive a really nice car. I don't care about really nice cars at all. But God, me and my daughter could drive a nice car, I'm sure. I'm sure of it. And this is a donation. I am donating money to American Express. They don't need my money. I
No,
need
they
my
don't.
money. So, I mean, logically, I fully get it. And I think not having eyes on the full picture definitely makes it easy to pretend or to overlook what's really happening, because in the moment it's about gratification. In the moment it's about this experience I want. In the moment it's about this flight I want. In the moment it's
Mhm.
just about the thing. And there's no flashing, holy shit, this is a high amount of debt number, and now I have that number. Like, it's a really big number. Like, I actually, you know what? I don't want to go to dinner. Where's Publix? Is there a Publix over here? Can I just can I have them steam me some fish and buy a salad? Yeah.
Well, I had to have that conversation and point that out to my child because she went out and got credit cards and didn't bother talking to me at all. And so, I was like, every time you use that card, you're taking out a loan. And she was like, for real? I was like, what do you think? They're just letting you borrow money, hold some money for free? I was like, nobody's doing anything for free.
No.
And so there are folks out there that may not be aware or think about it in that context,
Mhm.
because if you think, loans are supposed to be for big things. That's how I think about it. Loans are supposed to be for really big things, very major purchases. Taking out a loan to buy a Snickers might be a little much.
Now if I know Snickers, man, don't do me like that.
Well, I'm just saying.
What you're
I'm
saying.
just saying.
I get what you're saying. But yeah, you're right. You're right.
So you've kind of you've built some systems and you got some strategies in place to help you get your spending more in line with what your goals are. And one of those goals is to have less, almost no consumer debt.
Yeah. And so I really like the idea of not using credit cards, because it really actually is closer to the theory of zero-based budgeting, right? I got introduced to, I don't know if you've ever used YNAB, the You Need a Budget app.
Um, that's too much work.
It is,
I
it
live
is.
my life simply, which
You
is why I don't budget. I do the
it's
anti-budget
it's
method.
not really a budget, actually. This is what I love about YNAB. It's like the anti-budget almost, which is weird because it's called You Need a Budget. But I read their book, and it was a huge mindset shift. And zero-based budgeting is basically you literally only budget money you actually have. You only budget money you actually have. And what you do is you give every dollar a job. You assign every dollar to something. So for instance, I might say, okay, I have $1,000. I'm going to put 200 of it towards groceries. I'm going to put 300 of it towards my car note. I'm going to put another 500. Let's do easy math here. I'm going to put another 500 to savings, right? Well, if I end up spending 250 on groceries, I went over by $50. And I have to know that that $50 got to come from something else. And what I love about the mentality is like every dollar that you spend on one thing is a dollar you cannot spend on another. So that 250, it's not just like magically made up. I allocated, 500 to paying off debt or savings, and I allocated 300 to my car note. So where that other 50 coming from? Is it coming out of my savings or is it coming out of my car note? It can't come out of the car note.
You said you can't use money that's for something else to pay for something else. And I'm over here thinking, yeah, that's how money works. Once it's spent somewhere else, you can't spend it somewhere.
Yeah. And it's a duh, but also we don't behave that way though.
True,
Yeah.
true. I giving every dollar a job is more work than I want to do.
Yeah, that's fair.
And and so I I love, I don't know if it's Paula Pants or if she got it from somebody else. I like her anti-budget budget because really it's about paying yourself first and funding your priorities first. Once that money comes off the top, you
Mm-hmm.
get paid your $2,000 for the month. Okay, like your rent and all that stuff that has to be paid, as well as, oh, I want to pay $500 extra on my credit card. That comes off the top. Whatever is left, I can do whatever I want with it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to think about, because I tried oh, I'm going to put this much in this category. And then I completely ignore those categories, or I can't remember to update, like, oh, I went over in my leisure category. I got to pull the money from somewhere else. I'd rather just say, hey, you got $300 until your next check. And I can do whatever the hell I want with that $300 because I've already put money in my travel fund. I've already put money in my shit fund. I've already done all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have to think about what I'm doing with the money that's left.
That's nice. I like it.
But that's why I say everybody's got to find the thing that works for them,
Yeah. Yeah.
because these folks who be like, oh, I'm 50, 30, 20, and I'm doing this. I am somebody who desperately needs structure, but actively rebels against it. So that does not work for me.
I like that it's structured, but it's flexible, right? Because it's not a hard and fast rule that if you allocated $200 to groceries, you better only spend $200 to groceries. Like, it's your money, do what you want with it. But it's basically forcing you to be honest about what you're doing with it. Yeah. Which is what I like about it. It's forcing you to be honest about it.
And so we've talked about, saving is something you want to do, but it doesn't come as easy to you as other things do.
Right.
And what was the game changer for me was saving first and living off the rest versus living and trying to save from what is left.
Wait, say that
So
again. I'm sorry. I read a question.
uh,
I got distracted.
um, saving first
Mm-hmm.
and living off what's left versus living and trying to save from what is left.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Is this is this similar to so I used to have when I was working, I used to have a certain dollar amount just automatically go to my savings account, right? Like I don't even see it. It's already there. Like it's direct deposit to my savings account. Is that what you're referring to?
Um, that's what made it easy for me. Like, I have my ally account with the different buckets.
Mm-hmm.
And so those, people call them like sinking funds or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
to have it go there. But like, before I'm thinking about, oh, well, I got to buy this thing is coming up or whatever, that money comes out first. So I'm really only working with what is left after I have paid myself first.
Yeah,
And
that's how it was working. Yeah. When I
it's a
had the job.
small thing,
Yeah.
but that, for me, that was like a game changer.
You know what would be a game changer? Because I've been doing that for years. I've been doing that for a very long time. What would be a game changer is not being able to easily access that money. So when online banks first started, you remember ING?
I used to have an investment account.
I miss them so much. But this was before money was readily and easily available. Like you would have to wait 3 days to transfer money out of
Mm-hmm.
that account, right? There was another bank, Everbank, something like that. It was another online only bank. And I love that because it didn't give me easy access to the money. And it wasn't like, oh, in a pinch, like I want this and I need to cover the money. So let me transfer this money over. It was, I want this, but shit, it's going to take 3 days to get it. So I might as well not. Right. But now every bank account now has Zelle attached to it. Right. So I have no problem putting money into savings. My problem is taking it out. That has always been my
I
problem. So
told
when
myself
I'm
that
thinking,
money doesn't exist.
girl, you think I ain't told myself that?
And
I honestly
because
think
no,
that
I opened up those accounts and I purposely did not get debit cards for them because, like you said, it takes 3-4 days for that money to move over. I only have one account that has Zelle on it. So I can't be zelling money nowhere.
yeah, yeah. So I don't know. I think that the key for me is probably to put it in. I think the better move for me and what has worked is putting money into um, tax shelters, right? Because that's money I literally cannot access. And so I think the challenge with that is not easily accessible savings, right? So if like my car
Mhm.
gets flat tires, I'm gonna need that money like now. If I lost my job, though, that money is accessible for a very high fee. And so I think it's just about figuring out where the balance for the right approach plus the right level of controls, maybe. I don't know. I'm brainstorming this because it has worked before, right? Being able to, and I think I said this on the channel the last time we talked. A large sum of money, if I get a large sum of money, oh, I can put that in savings. I'm really good at putting large sums of money into savings. I'm fantastic at that. But it's just the discipline of treating it like it ain't really mine unless I need it has been the challenge. I will say,
Well,
I'm sorry.
no, I see you looking at the comments, and I was going to say something because y'all, when I say savings, I'm talking about savings and investing. I'm not talking about leaving money in a Bank of America account that's paying you
Are there
0.012%.
people doing that
Yes, there are,
on
because I
this
still
channel?
get clients. I still get clients who are like, this is what my savings account is. And my first question is always, well, what's the interest rate? And it takes them a while to find it. And then I'm like, oh no, baby girl,
You don't
you
already
should,
know what your interest rate is? I'm
yeah,
actually really
like
mad
you
my
should
interest
be,
rates have gone down on my savings accounts. So
yeah, but it's still better than it was.
it's better than it
Oh,
was. I mean,
wow.
yes, it was sad. It was sad. So I will tell you, like I have a very large sum of money coming in next month, this month, not very large. Let me not say that. It's a good amount of money. It's more than $10,000. So it's a couple, $30,000 coming in from a brand payment from one of my clients. And so my plan, my intentions, what I will do, let's go ahead and affirm it. Is
Yes.
just go ahead and put that into my high yield savings account and only take out once a month the amount that I need to cover my living expenses for that month. Because that is income that I need to take care of myself, but I don't need it all in my account at one time. And it could be earning interest. So my intentions are to just put that into my high yield savings account and maybe set up like an automatic transfer for a specific amount at the beginning of the month that covers my living expenses, which, as I said before, are pretty low. And my belief is that like having that high number is motivational.
Wanting to keep it high.
Like, ooh, that's pretty. You pretty. You cute. You is kind. You is smart. You is important.
I'm definitely a fan of setting that up as an automatic transfer. That way you don't
Not,
even have to interact with that account.
I'm not visiting it. Somebody told you know what somebody told me that they did. This is extreme, and maybe I needed extreme. They had someone they trust change the login information and not give it to them. I was like, oh dang, that's
That's
a
a
different
thought.
level. I
That's a
I
thought.
will tell you, I appreciate the thought that some people put into addressing their own behaviors, like
Yeah.
being honest with yourself about what you're good at, what you're not good at, what you're challenged with, and putting towards thought, like, how do I stop myself from doing this? How do I create friction in the process? And it's wild to say, I'm going to have somebody change the passwords to change the logins to my account. One, the thought process for putting that control in, but two, the amount of humility it takes. The amount of humility it takes to admit that the problem is that bad, that it's that important, and to go and ask someone to do that for you. Like that's interesting. It's very interesting. It's compelling to me.
It is. You know, it's also about thinking about, okay, the behaviors that are, you know, kind of setting off this whole thing. Like, oh, I know I have a problem with savings. Okay, I put the money in savings and then I pull it out. Like, what triggers that? is there a way to minimize those triggers? Because
Mhm.
if it's particularly if it's a behavioral thing, like the example I like to use a lot is going to Target as entertainment. I'm bored. Let me go walk around Target so they can tell me what I need. Let me check out what's on these end caps. Like, once you stop hanging out in Target, you'll find that you spend a lot less money.
Yeah.
I know
I
it's
mean, once
not
you
as
start
fun.
hanging out, period.
True.
I
Now,
actually didn't go to Target for entertainment until quarantine. That was like my one weekly outing. But yeah, no, I feel you. And it's so easy to go in Target for deodorant and come out with like $400 worth of stuff. Every single time I go into Target and come out with exactly what I went in with for, I like want to update my LinkedIn and point out that I am focused. I can achieve goals in the midst of adversity. I minimize distractions because I think it's a feat. I think it's a LinkedIn resume update worthy feat to go into Target for one thing and come out with that one thing.
one of the things that helped me with spending had previously helped me with my intake of sugar, but I'm like, fuck the rules now. Is having rules like, because I try to be a conscious consumer, I want to know, if I'm buying this thing, how was it made? Who made it? Were they paid fairly? That sort of thing. So, like, I got a weakness for fabric. The vast majority of the fabric out there, I can't buy
Mm,
because I don't want to contribute to horrible labor practices. However, a girl I know in Canada opened a ethical fabric shop, and she delivers here. And so far, the Mexican customs office hasn't charged me additional customs fees. So when stuff pops up on her site, that's when I'm like, oh,
oh,
yes, I see this fabric is $36 a yard, but look where it's from. So, like, having those rules keep
yeah,
me from buying a lot of things.
yeah.
And it used to be that way. I used to be a whole lot more strict about what I ate. And now I'm just like, the world's coming to you and we all gonna die. I'm gonna eat the damn cookies.
Secret cookies. I've heard a few things that people put into place that I find very interesting and compelling. My friend Myleek back in the day, uh, I can't remember how many years ago, but a long time ago, she used to say something like, when she first started getting her financial house in order, she was like, if I can't buy it 3 times, I can't afford it. If I can't buy 3 of them, I can't afford it. So I thought that was a very interesting mindset, and it served her well. And then I came across some woman on YouTube. I think I was watching videos about Notion templates and stuff, and this woman was talking about her finance template, and she said she has like a 3-day rule or something. Anything that she wants to buy, she'll go put it in a spreadsheet, and she has to give herself like 3 days or 5 days or something to think about it before she buys it. But it's in the spreadsheet, so like if ever she gets some extra money or something like that, and she can come back to the spreadsheet and look at it. But it reduced, that thought process or that rule helped, just kind of add friction to the process, and B, reduced the propensity for indulgent spending. I was like,
Yeah.
I love hearing how people are addressing their own behavior patterns. Um, I am obsessed with self awareness. Like I'm a highly self aware person, and so I'm always trying to figure out how to just be better and address some of the things that are challenges for me. But also, I do need to give myself credit for some of the things that I have addressed over the years. I think I'm doing a lot better than I used to be, girl, because I was a hot mess.
And that's very important, to give yourself credit and give yourself grace and not still be judging yourself as if you were the person you were 5 years ago, 10 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. Because, I sent that email out about how my spending had gotten out of control. And then I was recording a video, and I heard myself say it like 3 times, that I'm what did I say? I'm not that disciplined with money, or I want to be more fiscally responsible. And I think I was like watching it back and I was like, girl, who are you talking about? Because that's not you. Like over the last year or two, you have gotten out of control. Sure. But like, that's not who I am anymore. That is not who I am anymore. Um, and so I think, yeah, sometimes especially folks that are, very self-aware, we tend to beat ourselves up a lot. And it's like, I've got some changes to do. I've got to pull myself back into a place of discipline, because I actually was in a place of discipline when I got these credit cards. And I felt good about getting the credit cards because I had gotten to a place of discipline and I was doing so much better. And then I started spending money like a
Well, I
drug
love
dealer.
what you just said about self-aware people, because we don't have the luxury of like ignorance about the things that we're doing. It's very hard to be delulu when you are self-aware, because
Mm-hmm.
you know exactly what you're doing.
You're like, girl, I saw what you did when you did it. I saw what you had did when you did it. How do you sign up for my
I
newsletter?
Yeah, because I couldn't find a link because I was going to post it. Because there is a link, guys, in the description. There is a link to Libria's YouTube channel, because she makes really, really good videos. And there is also a link to our previous conversation when she was here before. And I wanted to include a link to your newsletter, but I could not find
I
one.
just found it. I had to find it too. I need to make a Bitly link for it. Can I? How do I? Can I send it to you?
Put it in the private chat and
Yeah,
I can post it.
I need to make like a little Bitly link for it so I just know it.
Okay. Because I was like, where did I sign up? I couldn't remember.
You
All
listen.
right.
Can I be honest with you? I might have just sent the newsletter out to a bunch of people that were on Quick Communities newsletter, and was like, the people that want to stay will stay. I was like,
All right. I will put that in the description so y'all can sign up, because um okay, Libria is very much about systems and organization and strategy, and I am not. But and there is that element to her newsletter. But then there's other stuff that I can connect to. So I think if you're watching this channel, I think that you will get a lot from her newsletter.
thank you. Yeah, thank you. Honestly, I feel like the newsletter is the most fun thing I'm doing. And it's something I've been wanting to do for a few years. And it's really just, I just be talking about random stuff that I've been thinking about. And honestly, Adelia, I only put a small fraction of the stuff that I'm thinking about.
I can believe that.
Because if I just put all the stuff that I'm thinking about, y'all would be like, what is this girl? Why is this newsletter 18,000 pages? But it's usually just, it could be something funny that happened during the week. It could be something I realized about myself. It could be just something I've been thinking about, or some debate I had with someone I know. It's like the Seinfeld show. It's not really about anything specific.
True. I think it's very easy for people to look at you from the outside. And because you are the queen of remote work, as I said in my newsletter that I sent out today, that we might have to start calling you the side hustle princess as well. Because you made 75 grand last year on your side hustles. Like, it's easy for people to look at you and be like, oh, Libria, her life is perfect. She's got it all figured out. Like, there's no way I could do any of the stuff she do it. And I think your newsletter, um, peels back the curtain a little bit. And that's part of the reason I have this YouTube channel, is because I don't want anybody sitting around like, well, it must be nice for her, but I can't have that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, you can.
Yeah, you can. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm special, but I ain't special, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, I'm special because my mama told me I'm special, and I'm the only person with my DNA. But I am not special in that I don't think there's anything that I have or have experienced really that somebody else couldn't. Not, I just don't. Like we can all do this. We can all do this. Absolutely. But yeah, I think the newsletter is a fun way for me to just be myself because I feel like everywhere, not no, I was about to say everywhere else I show up, it feels like um pressure to be a brand. And the newsletter is one place where I'm like, I'm just talking to my friends. I'm just talking to my homies. Hey, girl. That's how I feel. Somebody's trying to get me to move it to Substack. And I was like, if I do that, then people have to pay. I think people have to pay to access Substack.
There's a free level on
Okay.
Substack. You
I'm
could,
like,
I think on Substack, you might be able to make it, you could make the choice to provide what you're providing now free, but allow people who want to contribute,
yeah.
who feel so moved to be able to sign up. It's sort
Interesting.
of like Kiv on Stage's Patreon. Like
Okay.
everybody gets everything at the lowest tier,
Hmm.
but there are higher tiers, but you just don't get any more.
But see, then it turns into like, how do I get people to a higher tier? I just want to have a good time in y'all inbox. That's it.
Yeah,
That's all that
everything ain't got to be monetized.
everything ain't got to be monetized, which the last video I posted, I had on this crochet sweater that my daughter made me. She took a month to make this sweater for me, and it's amazing. And people are in the comments, when's she gonna open an Etsy shop? Or you need to, that's a side hustle right there. My daughter does not want to make money from her art at all. I have tried years upon years upon years to get her. She paints, she's a great writer, she draws, she can do tattoos, she can make wigs, she can do makeup, she can do nails. Very talented person. And I'd be like, girl, you can make this money. Go make this money. Her artwork, I was like, we could put this on skateboards, tote bags, journals. It's like Afro futuristic art. That is her creative and mental health outlet. And she has no desire to make any money. Somebody, actually, one of my friends, I don't remember if it was like her godmother or one of my good friends was like, how about we just normalize people just having a talent that they just enjoy?
Joy. Yeah. You
And we
don't
got in
have
this
to make
conversation.
money
You
for
have to make money from
everything.
everything. And we got in this conversation about how, especially our generation, grew up with this whole hustle mentality. And you think about the movies that we watched and idolized, especially Black women climbing the corporate ladder. Two Can Play That Game, Boomerang. Like those were
Mhm.
movies we grew up on. Like it's all about being a boss. It's all about climbing. Baby, I'm ready to climb down. And so anyway, all that to say, my daughter is a very good example of like everything does not have to be about making money. She's like, my job is my job. And then I come home and I do this for fun.
That part right there, the idea now that's very countercultural. Although I think it's changing because we're late stage capitalism ain't turning out to be so great, but a job can be just a job.
Mm-hmm.
Like it gives you money and you can buy food and pay rent, but it ain't got to fulfill you. It doesn't have to be your mission or your purpose in life. It could just be a place you go and you exchange your time for money.
Agreed. I actually said that on a coaching call last week. I was like, every job you don't have to love your job. Like if that's what you want, I want that for you. I do. But it could also fund the things that you're excited about. Like she gets to buy yarn because she has a job. She gets to buy canvases and paint because she has a job. You get to buy fabric because you out here making this money or you save money, whatever you did.
But no, because when people find out I sew, they're like, "Oh, have you thought?" No, I sew for me. The number of people, including my children, that I have ever sewed anything for fits on one hand.
Yeah. She has been crocheting for like 2 years now, and I've been begging her to make me something. This was the first time she made me anything. And she was like, I want it to be that when I make things for people, she was like, if I make something for somebody, it's just someone I care about. I don't want to make things to sell to people. I just want to make things for people I care about every once in a while, and I want to make things for myself.
Yeah, I'm right there with her on that. And like I said, that is I think we're going to see that become a more broader held sentiment than, let's say, when we were coming up, because that was not the idea at all.
No, it wasn't. It definitely wasn't. It was climb that corporate ladder, baby. Oh, you know how to make cupcakes? Open a cupcake shop on your 5 to 9 p.m. Open your
Yup.
cupcake shop. You know? Oh, you cook. Oh, you cook really well. You know what you should do? You should open a meal prep business. Like,
Everybody has 100 ideas about how you can be doing more and working more.
here's a good example. Here's an excellent example. I posted a video on YouTube about the 6 streams of income that I have. And a friend messaged me and said, I loved your video. Have you thought about teaching people how to make YouTube content? I bet you can make money from a course. Do you think 6 streams of income was not enough? 6 wasn't enough for you? You want to give me another one? I was like, I have no interest in
Something
that.
something I tell clients all the time, just because you can do something doesn't mean you have to, because people, the flip side of that is often like, well, I know how to do this and this, so I should find that should be the kind of job I pursue, or this is the thing I should be doing. It's like, just because you can do that, is that what you want to do?
Right.
Do you want a job using those skills? Just because you got them don't mean you got to be using them.
Exactly. Exactly. And, you know, this is our one and only life. We should be doing things we want to do. Can I ask you a question? I want your advice about something, since we're talking about my side hustles and how much money I made last year. Thank
Mhm.
you. Let me not do that too hard before it come off.
Part
Anyway.
way of life.
Okay. Question for you. Since we're talking about multiple income streams, and I think that not having a job anymore, not having a W-2 job anymore, um, has definitely flipped the switch back to, oh, I need to pull it together. Because I do believe that part of the reason why I was out here spending money like Pablo Escobar's wife is that I had ample extra money. Like I had a really good paying job, and then I went and made $75,000 on the side. So that's a good amount of money coming in. And of course, when I look back on that, I'm like, God, how much debt could I have paid off? Because when I recorded that video, at the end of it, I was like, did I just say I made $75,000 extra dollars last year? And I am in debt. Anyway, we're not going to do that. We're going to move past that. But I think that now that I don't have that, I think the switch has been flipped as well. Like, oh, I'm not getting a paycheck on the 15th. I am not getting a paycheck on the 30th. Like, that's just not happening, sweetheart. And then, so this is my first time in the realm of, first time in a very long time, I should say, in a very long time. I haven't been a full-time entrepreneur since 2015, 2016. And then before that, it was in 2013. And both times it was only for about a year, right? So for the first time in a long time, I'm like, unsteady money. And November to December was a little bit scary. Not scary is not the word. I don't want to be dramatic about it.
Comfortable.
It was uncomfortable. That's the right word. And I'm going to tell you something, Delia. Me saying that it was uncomfortable, and it was only uncomfortable because I was getting past due notifications. Like, oh, your phone bill's past due. Oh, this is past due. Because I had drained out my savings, and then my invoice that was supposed to hit got pushed back because they had to make some changes to one of the deliverables. It had nothing to do with me, but they made some changes to deliverables. So all of that got pushed back, right? And I started getting these emails about, this is past due, this is past due, this is past due. And then card decline, not enough credit. What do you mean? What is happening to me? And so it's not comfortable. Here's what's wild though. I need to go back to old Libria for a second. I need to go back to the previous conversation for just a second. Me saying that makes me uncomfortable is such a huge change from who I was in my mid 20s, mid to late 20s. Because I didn't care. It was going to get taken care of when it got taken care of. You know what I mean? So the fact that I am uncomfortable with having just a past due, this is not even like a disconnection notice.
Yeah.
You know, there was a time where it wasn't a big deal until a disconnection notice came out. Like that's how undisciplined I was in my 20s. Now I'm just getting past due and I'm like, oh, what? Why? So well, now what I'm thinking about, like I said, I'm going to get that payout from one of my brand partnerships, and that money will go into savings, and then I will get a deposit for my living expenses for the month, right? What I am trying to think through is how I allocate any money that comes in outside of that. Because I have that one payment will be enough to take care of my living expenses for about, I don't know, 10 months, I want to say. Yeah, 10 months. Let me not want to say. That's the number. I'm a finance major. That's the number. But then I have other brand partnerships coming. I have other funds coming in. And so I've been thinking about, it's too soon for me to say this is my salary. And so I'm gonna tell you what I've been thinking about doing, and you tell me what you think this approach should be. So for my personal brand, Libria Jones LLC, LLC, we love a LLC, don't we? Black people love us a LLC. Any funds that come in, what I was thinking about doing is basically a 40-60 split. So I would pay myself 60% of whatever that income is. Of course, taxes come out of that. So someone asked on my channel, how do I handle taxes? Just for you guys, I use Gusto to pay myself. And so it automatically takes taxes off of my wages whenever I pay myself. So I was thinking maybe doing 60%. So let's say I get paid $1,000. I would get 600 of that. And since my living expenses are already covered, my thought was a portion of that goes to savings, a portion of that goes to pay down debt, and a portion of that goes to Libria having a good time. I have not decided on that portion. So first, my question is, I'm getting live coaching. Aren't y'all jealous? my question is, does that allocation sound reasonable to you? And the second part is, I haven't thought through how to allocate the part that comes to me.
Given that 10 months of your living expenses are already going to be covered, I don't see an issue with that allocation. Now, of the 60%, we're trying to decide how much goes to savings, how much goes to debt, and how much goes to fun time.
Yeah.
Isn't it kind of like you were saying before, giving every dollar a job?
Yeah, but like how much? How much of them
dollars? Well, okay, this is a question I had before that I didn't ask. Do you track your spending?
I do.
So can you look at previous months to see in the fun time categories, how much have you been spending?
I don't think we want to use that.
Well, because the follow-up question is, how do I feel about how much I was spending? What would this look when you compare that to how much income I had in a given month? You know, because more likely than not, given that you kind of was out there wilding a little bit, it's probably a higher percent. So that's one way. You can look at typically how much were you spending? Okay, we know that was too much. Can you live on half? Can you have fun on half of that? Another option would be to start with what are the bare minimum fun things you want to do? How much is that likely to cost? And I don't know what's considered fun time stuff. Is that getting your nails done? Is that getting massages and facials? And if those are things that you'd really like to make part of your monthly practice, okay, this is how much those things would cost. I want to have a few meals out. Okay, this is the dollar amount. What does that then equate to as far as a percentage?
Yeah. Okay. I like it. Can I address some of these comments real quick?
Yeah.
Okay. So one, if you automate your bills, you'll never get past due. So I don't know if you missed what I said. My bills were on automated autopay. My bills have been on autopay for the last 10 years, I'm sure. I ran out of money, friend.
She
I
had
don't
to empty her savings.
I lost my job. After I stopped getting severance, I end up having to drain my savings. And then I was not getting my invoice paid from my client. Not that they were paying me late, it was just the deliverables got pushed back. So I'm a huge fan of automating bills. I know not everybody is. I'm a fan of automating bills because I just don't want to have to think about it. I am also a fan if you automate your bills to, spot check them from time to time, make sure they're right. So I don't know if you missed that, Empress, but yes, my bills were automated. I ran out of money. I don't have a job. And then the comment, no money for fun time until you pay off all high interest debt. Um, I'm going to disagree strongly with that, only because we talked about earlier finance being behavioral. And here's a good example. An example is for someone who is trying to get in shape and lose weight, and they don't feel good about themselves, telling them that they can't look nice and buy nice clothes until they lose weight. That's not going to make you feel better, nor is it going to motivate you to continue to work out and lose weight. It may for some people, and for some people like me, that does not work. And so the idea of not doing anything fun until I do XYZ is just not going to be helpful. It's like someone going on a really strict diet for a very long time. They will turn around and binge. So
Yeah.
that may work for you. That will not work for me. That would never work for me. So I just want to call that out because I think we all think that there's this, you just do this thing, right?
And
Just
we
like when
started off
I said,
talking about how it is psychological and you've got to figure out what works well for you.
yeah,
Um, like the one that I get all the time is about paying off debt. Do I do a snowball or do I do the other one? And I'm like, well, are you the kind of person that in order to continue to be motivated, you need small victories along the way?
exactly,
Or
exactly.
can you hang on until that big giant bill is paid off? It very much depends on who you are as a person.
Yeah.
And so like low key, I've been the person who I can't, I could. The Adelia that exists now, she ain't about rules so much as the old Adelia used to be. Like, okay, well, this is the rule. I can't do anything until this is paid down or until I've saved X amount of money. I am no longer that person. So I've had to adapt some
Yeah.
things because I'm not that person anymore.
Yeah, agreed. And to answer the question, what about your emergency fund? Like I said, spent it because I had to. Had to
Because you
spend it.
lost your job.
Yeah, because I lost my job and had to pay for stuff. So all that to say, someone said, but also what would work? That's what we were talking about earlier. I don't know if you were here earlier, awkward black girl, but here's what we discussed. What did we discuss? We discussed putting the money. Right now we're talking about how much we allocate to savings and paying down debt. I'll be honest, I think that my priority has to be paying down debt and then some of that go to savings. I don't think that one has to be the only focus. I've never believed that one has to be the only focus. I think that it's possible to attack all three. I think it's possible to address debt, savings, and fun at the same time. It's just how
100%.
much what levers you pull and how much you allocate it. So let's say there's $1,000 coming to me. Let's say there's $1,000 coming to me. Maybe 500 of that goes to debt, then 300 of it goes to savings, and then 200 of it goes to me having a good time. And now I'm addressing all three of those things. I'm not unhappy. I'm not having a good time. I'm not saving, and I'm also still paying down debt. So I think it's possible
Because
to
saving and paying down debt, but you are miserable.
right.
You're not going to stay there long. Um, what I was going to say is also we might want to reframe paying down debt because by paying down debt, you are saving.
Yeah.
You're actually getting, because most people got interest rates over 25%. you're actually saving. And for every dollar you pay down, you're saving that 25% of what you would have been paying in interest. So you're saving future you some money.
Yeah, agreed. And just to throw this out there, what's really funny is I am actually like very financially savvy. Like I can give you guys ever read the books Confession of a Shopaholic? She used to give great financial advice, but she herself was just undisciplined and a huge shopper. I'm not a huge shopper, except for like plane tickets and dinners. And so like I I want to be very clear. I know personal finance quite well, quite well. I've studied it. I've read several books. Hell, I used to want to be the Black Susie Orman back in the day. Did I tell you that?
Yeah.
I used to want to be the Black Susie Orman. I love personal finance. I absolutely love the science and behavior behind how we spend money and how we do it well and how we take advantage of the math. Because also I love math. Um, but it is truly, like you said, it is truly behavioral. And it really just is about hacking your own habits and behaviors and triggers and feelings and traumas and all of that as well.
And when you can't do that on your own, because again, we were talking
Yeah.
about being self-aware,
Yeah.
you cannot hide from yourself. But if something we said tonight has resonated with you, particularly having like your financial life out of alignment with the things that you say are important,
Hmm.
Ivana and I are hosting a workshop on February 1st, from intention to action, that is addressing this very thing. Um, because, like you said, I lost the thought, but oh no,
Behavioral.
it's hacking your behavior, but sometimes you can't get that perspective
Yeah,
yourself.
that's
And
true.
when you can't get it yourself, it's about getting resources, finding people to help with that. And so if you are interested, where did I put the thing? If you are interested in attending the workshop, you can go to the Reclaim the Retreat
I love that.
website, reclaimtheretreat.com/workshops, and all of the information is there.
I love that. That's awesome. Yeah. So immediately when I put those numbers together, I was like, oh, this is stupid. And then I realized that I had a couple of loans that was like, why am I paying this? And I paid them off immediately. Like, girl, let's pay this down. I think I ended up paying like literally the day I put this spreadsheet together and looked at like the full picture of all my any loan that I have, be it personal or business or any credit card I had. I was like, this is wild. I paid off 2 loans that day. I was like, this is stupid. Like, I don't even know why I have these 2 loans. Like, what was I thinking at the time? Not really sure, but doesn't matter. We're paying this off right now on today.
And that's a simple thing, putting everything in one place.
Mm-hmm.
That's a simple thing. I hope people are getting just how doing that one small thing, getting all of your debts, all of your income, everything in one place, how eye-opening that is, and things that you were completely oblivious to previously are now sitting there staring you in the face. Because again, if you're trying to focus on things, it is far easier to focus on one place instead of 15.
Yeah. Yep. Especially because, you know, they all existed somewhere. I'm a spreadsheet girl, right? So they all existed somewhere, but I hadn't put them together. And it's almost like when you spend, you know, $10 here, $20 there. It's definitely more than that. But when you spend $20 here, $10 here, and you look up and you're like, oh my God, I spent $1,000 last week. It was kind of like that. Like, okay, I have a couple of small loans over here. And then I know I have a small business loan right here. And then I have this business credit card. And then I have my credit cards. And that's, you know, that's my debt. That's it. It's not huge. And then I put it all together and I was like, holy Jesus, it actually is way bigger than I thought it was. It was very eye-opening. I'm so glad I did that. I am disappointed that I let it get to that point, but I'm so glad that I was like, wait, let me see all of this together at once, because it drove immediate action. First of all, it drove immediate action. And especially being in a position where I am working for myself, I am responsible for myself. I'm not just going to get a paycheck. Now, I don't know how long that's going to be. I may get a job, I may not. I haven't decided yet. But for now, in this moment, I am responsible for Libria. And honestly, Adelia, it's less about the debt for me. Like it's not the debt number that drives me nuts. It's the interest number. It's the donation I'm making.
That's the thing, because you paying them folks.
It's a donation.
Yeah, because it's one thing of like, hey, I bought this stuff. I owe because I enjoyed that trip, that dinner, those boots. But the interest, that is the thing that motivates me, because I don't like paying money and not get anything for it. And so that's why I'm always like, what is the interest rate? The very first house I bought, I used to look at amortization tables when I was shopping for my very first house. And when I found out that if you pay out your mortgage, you basically pay for that house 3 times over.
Mm-hmm.
And so all of a sudden that changes in my brain what it costs. The house that I bought for, I don't know, 50 grand, whatever it was, I was like, this is not $150,000 house. We not finna be paying on this for 30 years.
Don't most people sell their house before the 30 years?
I guess. I grew up in a house that my mother bought in like 1958. And literally, I just sold that house in October. So I never moved as a child.
Got
So
it.
when people would be like, oh, yeah, we just moved, we bought this house. And then 4 years later, I'm like, well, if you was going to move, why you buy a house?
Yeah.
Like in my brain, it didn't make sense. Most people don't hold on to it that long, but they're also, I don't think, thinking enough about the interest. And not to say home mortgage interest should be like your most precious thing, particularly those of you who got 2%, 3% interest. Don't pay those off. Don't pay those off.
No. Listen,
just to like not have that debt. That is not, if you've got credit card debt, focus on that, because that is way more expensive.
can we talk about this real quick? Because I almost got into an argument with some friends of mine over this. This is one of those moments I had to just be like, okay, thank you for your input. I was talking about paying down debt, and I was thinking about selling my car. I was like, I don't go anywhere. I'm rarely even in the United States, or in one place, I should say. I'm rarely even in my town. And I go 3 places. I go to the grocery store, the gym, and I go shoot pool once a week. And they're all, and I go to my parents' house. And all of these places are within 10 minutes of my house. And my parents have extra cars, right? And so I was like, I think I'm going to sell my car, pay the loan off, and just drive one of my mom's cars. That's what I'm going to do. And my friends were like, one of my friends was like, why would you're going to get tired of borrowing your mom's car? And I was like, not more tired than I am of paying all this money for a car I barely use. I'll be less tired of borrowing my mom's car than I am of doing that. And then another friend was like, why would you downgrade your car? I was like, because I don't go anywhere. Like, I don't care about a car. Right. And then it was, well, you should just pay your car off and then use the payment. Let's talk numbers, right? So let's say the car payment is, the interest on the car is 4%. Interest on the car loan is 4%. My credit card interest is 28%. And I was like, I'm not going to pay the car off when I could use that money to pay my credit card off. I could get somebody else to pay the car off and free up this money for me, because I don't need the car. I have access to other cars. And she was like, well, you're supposed to pay down debt by the smallest amount of debt. She was explaining the snowball effect. Again, I know personal finance, guys. I was like, you're explaining the snowball effect. And I was like, that approach makes sense for some people. It doesn't make sense for me because the math doesn't work. And she was like, no, it helps. It's a really good way to motivate people to pay off debt. I was like, I clearly don't need to be motivated to pay off debt. I just said I'm about to sell my car so I can pay off debt. Like, I don't need the motivation. What I need is the math to work in my favor. I need to stop spending so much money to carry debt. So for me, and I'm not saying this for, this applies to everybody. For some people, the snowball effect is the right way to go, right? You need that achievement motivation, but
You
I
need the
don't.
small victory.
You need the small victories. I don't need that from debt payments. What I need is not to be paying American Express $300 and $400 a month. That's what I need, right? Because if I can free up that money, then I can then go and snowball something else. And so snowball versus avalanche. Avalanche is the highest debt. And I was like, thank you for your input. This is the moment I was like, thank you for your input. Like, I'm just not, we don't have to agree on this, especially when we're talking about my money.
But no, and for me, that's why I never did snowball, because I'm like, while I'm focusing on this one over here is charging me double-digit interest. And I'm not a math girl, but I know that math.
Especially when we're talking about me paying for a vehicle that I don't really need. I go 3
Yes.
places. They are all within 10 minutes of my house. If I need to drive to Atlanta, I can rent a car. I don't go to Atlanta enough for that. And I was like, this just doesn't, okay. I was like, okay, girl. Somebody actually asked a question earlier about, and people probably ask this question on your lives all the time. Is it better to pay down debt or save up your emergency savings? Build your emergency savings?
And I always say you can do both.
You can do
It
both.
doesn't
Why
have
we gotta choose?
to
What
be
did Cardi B say?
or.
I don't want to choose.
The thing is, because again, psychologically, even because I think people get caught up with, I only have this $500 extra a month, and I could put it all toward the credit card. But if you put 4 toward the credit card and 100 toward savings, when and if you need to use those savings, even if it's just $600 you were able to put away, that's $600 that doesn't have to go on the credit card.
Yeah.
And to me, that's a win.
I agree.
So no, I think you can do both.
And you are making progress in both places. Progress is progress. And a lot of times we get caught up on taking big swings at the goal. And sometimes inching towards the goal and inching towards multiple goals works as well. But again, I think that's also one of those things that depends on you as well. Like, what works for you, what feels more comfortable for you. But I mean, if we really go for the math, though,
yes,
in my situation, let's do the math. Why don't we do the math? So I have a high yield savings account. I think the interest rate right now is 4.3% on it. Interest rate on my high yield savings account is 4.3. Also, which is why I wouldn't pay my car off. Like, it's less than what I'm anyway. I was like, my God, if I've got the money to pay my car off, I would just put it in savings and just take payments out and pay my car note, because I would make money off of that. Anyway, high yield interest rate is 4.4%. My credit card interest rate is 28%. 28%. So if I'm only going to pick one, mathematically, which one makes the most sense, right? But I don't think everything's about the math. What's most important to you? Do you feel uneasy not having savings? Does it give you anxiety?
I say all the time, well, how do you feel about it? How does that make you feel? Because if every month you putting all of that money toward the credit card and there's not being any saving or investing happening, and that is making you uncomfortable, it's making you, you're dreading this, it's affecting you negatively, you're not going to be able to maintain this behavior.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there are times, if you're somebody who is driven by the math, then that is going to influence the decision that makes the most sense for you. If you are somebody who's like, because there are people who, okay, let's say I'm plowing money into that credit card, but it's a
It's too,
lot.
yeah,
Something happens. I have no savings. I've now got to put 10 grand on the credit card and I feel like I wasted my
yeah,
time.
yeah,
So it's about having to know if you've got to put a significant amount on the credit card because you have no savings, how's that going to affect you mentally?
right. That's fair. Yeah, you're right. SoFi is my bank. I actually may have to change from SoFi. I just thought about it because that interest rate is because I was getting direct deposit.
No.
So I might need to move all my. So some of my money is in Ally. So I use Ally and SoFi because SoFi has had historically higher interest rates than Ally. But SoFi's interest rates are dependent upon
Ally is
deposit.
like 3.8 something now.
Oof! I didn't get that latest update. Normally, I get a text message
It's
from
not.
Ally.
Do you have a Fidelity account?
I don't.
Because their
My
cash
investments are
management
with
account,
Fidelity.
which is kind of like the Charles Schwab account,
Oh yeah,
they rebate ATM fees, no
yeah.
foreign transaction fees.
I love that Charles Schwab
Um,
account. I don't have one, but I do love that account. I used to have it.
on one of you've got two options for where to hold your money. One of them is paying 2.87%. The other one is paying 4.23.
At Charles Schwab or at Fidelity.
Fidelity.
I'm gonna have to holler at Fidelity. I never opened it because for me it was like which investment account do I want? E-Trade or Fidelity, and I went with E-Trade. So I hadn't thought about Fidelity for a bank. I think American
Did
Express
E-Trade get
savings
bought
account is pretty
by
good.
Charles Schwab?
Hmm?
Didn't E-Trade get bought by Charles Schwab?
Did they?
I think it's E-Trade. It's one
Somebody-
of them.
Betterment cash reserve is 4%. Hmm.
Okay.
Nice. Nice. I like it.
Okay.
I like it. Well, I mean, I'm honestly like really excited about the space I'm in because like there's this big amount of awareness. And I think just the last 2 years I wowed out because I made a lot of money the last 2 years. And so
And
now we see
that
how
can
you grow
influence your
got
behavior.
money, right? When I got money, I know I'm acting a fool because I had a good amount of money. And it just seemed to be flowing to me. And so I treated it like, came in, go out.
Well, what is it they say? You got to tell your money where to go, or it's going to tell you where it's been.
That's what happened. That's what's happened. Listen, I had a good time. I had a good time the last 2 years. I had a really good time. Had some really good food, some really good experiences. And I don't typically deal in regret. And so I don't have any about the last 2 years. But I don't want to look back at the end of this year, the end of next year, whether I get a job or not, whether I hit this over 100K in income streams or not. I don't want to look back on this year and say the same thing that I said in that email that's prompted this conversation.
Oh crap! I was just finna say something because of what you said. Oh, I'm glad you're saying that because I think a lot of folks get caught up in, oh, well, I messed up. I made this giant financial mistake and I need to be punished. You were out of alignment. You realize that, and now you're adjusting it. You don't have to regret behavior that you don't want to continue.
Oh, I like the way you said that, especially because how does that serve me? You know what I'm saying? Like I can't go back and fix it. I can't go back and undo it. So the only thing that I can do is be aware and say, you know what, I really don't want to do that again. And then move
You
forward.
make different choices. You
Yeah.
make different choices.
Agreed. I agree. I'm looking forward to making different choices. Somebody said, what are some steps to stop balling out of control?
Make it difficult to ball out of control.
Make it
That's what we talked about earlier. You need to add some friction to that
Yeah.
process.
So one of the things that I have done that I mentioned earlier is removed my credit cards from my Apple Wallet and from Google Pay on my computer, and actually from my actual wallet. I am not using my credit cards next year. And I want to be clear that I don't feel like, to your point just now, that's not a punishment. I'm not punishing myself by not using my
Yeah.
credit cards next year. What I am choosing to do is focus on paying them down, not utilizing them, because it has become too easy to just be like, oh, I'll just swipe the card and I'll pay it when I get paid. I'm not fixing to get paid. So
So
we can't be
you've
acting
got
like
to make that adjustment.
yeah, and my priority is really to see those balances go down and discontinue donating to American Express because they got money. They don't need mine.
They don't need
So
yours.
for me, it's the adding the friction to the process, making it that much more difficult, I would say, to use credit cards or just make them inaccessible until they're paid off.
Yeah.
Watching your money grow as motivation to not ball out of control. Honestly, watching debt balances go down is actually quite fun. It's pretty cool. Even when I just paid those 2 small loans, I was like, why do I even have these loans? And I paid them down. I was like, ooh, the number changed. I had to update the group chat. I was like, y'all remember when I said I had this much in debt? It's actually this much because I just paid 2 loans off. And I do love um, the fact that I have this group of people who know me so well that I can be so honest with and share challenges and wins with. And there was a time, actually, when my savings balance grew, they were like my accountability buddies. I would send them a screenshot of my savings account every month or every week. Twice a month, I would send them a screenshot of my savings account. It was really fun.
Well, I'm hoping you can get back to that.
I look forward to that. I do look forward to that as
Well,
well.
thank you for joining me and letting me ask you these questions and put your business all on the internet.
I put my
I
foot on
think this
it.
conversation is going to be helpful for
Yeah.
someone trying to, figure some things out, take a direction. And so I appreciate, as always, your transparency and your willingness to be open and honest. I really, really do.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You know what I love about you, Adelia? You be faking like you judgmental, but you are so not judgmental. And I love that. I love that. And when I say faking, you be like, girl, what you doing? But I love that
Well, as Rashida will point out, I will ask questions.
yeah.
Like, don't tell me you trying to do this, because I am going to be the person that comes back and says, well, you're buying that, but you said you wanted to do this thing.
So, but here's the thing though. I think that's you genuinely holding people accountable. Right. And
I'm
I don't
just
think
trying
that
to
it
help
requires
everybody win.
And I don't think it requires judgment to hold people accountable. You know what I'm saying? And so that's one of the things I really love about you. You make it so easy to be transparent and honest and tell you, which is why I'm a fantastic financial coach, right? Because it feels comfortable to say, so here's what I did, Adelia. And you're not going to be like, girl, what's wrong with you?
No, it's
Right?
let's figure out how to do the things that you said were important.
Yeah. So I think that maybe you and I do a check-in again so I can tell you where I am because I'm excited. I'm honestly really excited about this. Um, I would love to do a check-in with you. Oh, thank you, Empress. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. You sound like a very financially savvy person, and I love that for you. I love that about you. Thank you for sharing in the comments too. So I would love to give you an update at some point. Let me know when you want me to check in with you, or like how often you would like for me to check in with you about where we are with this.
Yes.
I'm
No,
especially interested to see how this.
we're going to do that. I will be sending calendar invite.
Okay,
So we are going to do that.
especially considering I don't have a job. Not saying I won't get one. Who knows? But right now, it's just me and me.
Yes. All right. Um, oh, before I let y'all go, there are some of you watching this who are aspiring expats. You hope to move abroad. Don't forget at on the 16th, which is Thursday, the Expat Summit starts. Particularly if you're somebody who is either already abroad or thinking about moving abroad and you want to figure out how I can get a job in another country. You want to find out how can I study abroad, um, study abroad at any age. Those are things that are going to be talked about at the Expat Summit, which starts on the 16th, goes through the 20th. I saw somebody in the chat who is going to be speaking. I'm going to be speaking. A whole bunch of folks are going to be speaking. So just reminding y'all about that. And I will see y'all next week, and we will see Libria in a few months.